Today as you can see, we've changed things up. Generally, we'd be singing songs and worshiping God, but today we thought, hey, we want to create this space where we can just reflect and be still. I don't know about you guys, but in the conversations that I've been having with everyone, it's as if there's this space that we're not used to, the silence. When last were you guys silent? When last did you actually just take time out just to be still, to be quiet? And today, seriously, if you have never been in church before, if today's your first time that you're in church, you couldn't have chosen a better weekend to be here, because I'm going to try and do everything non-churchy, all right, and try and break away some of the false beliefs that we have about church and what go fishing is all about. So, yeah, if you're here just because of that there's burgers after church, you've come on a good day as well, all right? It's going to be great. But yeah, honestly, I want us to understand today that as a church and as a place where we actually worship a God, we believe strongly that this God doesn't want something from us, but he seriously wants something for us, and something that we can't find anywhere else, something that we can't receive from any human being or from any possession that we have, but it's something godly. So yeah, I hope today that will sort of come clear and become clearer as we journey along. But we've been looking at this series called Go Fish, and if you don't know the story, about 2,000 years ago, plus minus, Jesus was walking on a beach, and as he was walking on a beach, he saw some guys fishing, and he walked up to them, and he says this, he says, "Come follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." He approaches these guys, and he says, "Hey, come follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." These guys literally leave their nets, they leave their family, they leave everything behind to follow the stranger, Jesus, who they have recently just met. Now, if you think about the story, don't you think this is irresponsible? Don't you think this is stupid? Don't you think this is everything our parents would warn us against? Following a stranger, to leave everything behind and follow someone who says, "Hey, come follow me, all right? And I'm going to make you into fishers of men." As we read the story in Luke's account, as he expresses the exact same story, Luke was a doctor, and he was someone who actually went around and actually asked the eyewitnesses who were actually there, who were with Jesus, who were amongst Jesus. He went around interviewing them and actually asking, "Hey, what happened? What happened when Jesus was around?" And he records this in the Gospel of Luke. And as we read his account of the story, we get some more information about what actually took place that day. Jesus was on the beach, and he was actually surrounded by so many people. And as he's surrounded by so many people, he's busy teaching, and he's sharing a bit more about a true picture of who God really is. And as he's doing this, like, people are just amongst him, and eventually he actually sees a boat in the water, and he decides he's going to get up, and he leaves the beach, and he goes and he stands in the boat. It was a guy named Simon's boat. He stands in the boat and he starts sharing the word from the boat. Everyone's on the beach. And eventually when he stops speaking, he tells Simon, the fisherman right there, who was busy washing his nets, he says, "Hey, I want you to take the boat, and I want you to go out into the deep, and I want you to just cast that net out. Just cast it out." Now Simon, a fisherman, a trained fisherman, a guy who knew what fishing was all about, he responds and he says, "Look, Jesus, I don't know who you are. and I know you're teaching all these good things, but we've been out all night trying to catch fish, and we have caught nothing. We have caught nothing. But Peter, Simon, and later he'd be called Peter, he responds and he says then also, however, if you say so, we will do it. And I thought about this, and I think that Peter or Simon over here was just saying, you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong in front of everyone. Have you ever had that feeling? Like you're just like, oh, okay, you go ahead with that. You go and try that, and I'm just going to get that revenge or that feeling of, yeah, I told you so. So Simon, he goes out with a boat, and as they go out and as they throw this net out, all of a sudden as they throw this net out, this net becomes full with fish. Luke records a story like this, and he says, hey, the net was actually breaking. He says they yelled for another boat to come over, and as they yelled for this other boat to come over, their boat begins to sink because there are so many fish in the net. Ridiculous. Insane. No wonder when Jesus said, come follow me, Simon Peter and Andrew and the other guys, without a doubt, they just said, yeah, okay, we're going to follow you. Definitely. I mean, come on, who wouldn't, right? When something like this happens. These guys weren't the best of the best. Actually, they were the dropouts. These were the guys who didn't make the cut to become rabbis. They actually missed the mark. They weren't the best of the best, and therefore they had to just take up the family trade. They had to just become fishermen. They were rough. And as I often think, I think they probably stank like fish because they were fishermen, right? But guess what? They were perfectly positioned to be used by God to make something insanely purposeful out of their lives. I don't know how you came into Gracegate today, but you are perfectly positioned to be used by God and to find something that is insanely purposeful in your life. Last week, if you were here, Graham shared a bit about this net. Can you guys remember this net? Anyone can remember? Yeah? What was that net about? Who knows? If you don't answer, I'm never going to get him to speak again. So, yeah, a lot of weight. Yeah, the knots. And he was referencing that net to what? The people, right? Awesome, the people, the church, this community. And he expressed that, hey, this church is not about the building, all right? But church is actually about the people. And he said that, every single one of those knots matter in this network. Each and every one of them. No matter where you're from, no matter what you've done, no matter what you're currently doing, you matter and you play a crucial role in the context of what a church really is. And today then, I want to share with you guys and continue this journey of what does it mean to go fish, and especially in the context of muddy water. Oftentimes, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I have certainly experienced this, that Christians make Christianity way too complicated. Can you relate? We complicate church. And I can guarantee you today, and I know this, that there are people in this world, maybe even in church today, who have rejected what they think is Christianity, but in reality, they have merely rejected an overcomplicated distortion of Christianity. Well, what am I saying? I'm saying that, hey, some people have actually said, you know what? I want nothing to do with God because I think, God is crazy. What Christianity is all about is crazy. What I've experienced about it is crazy, and it's not this crystal clear picture of what we really think faith is about. So some people have rejected a distorted view of what Christianity is. And meanwhile, they're still waiting to experience an authentic version of the love of Jesus. Can you relate? Have you had a bad church experience that has muddied the water of what Christianity is about? Have you had a bad church experience that you thought God was sort of like this, but maybe even you came in contact with a few Christians and all of a sudden you were thinking, wow, doesn't look that attractive anymore. It's kind of gross if I think about it. You have this distorted view of what Christianity may be. Maybe you think that Christianity is all about the do's and the don'ts, and as soon as we break the don'ts, God comes out from playing hide and seek to catch us out, to punish us. And all of a sudden, all that we're doing is we're adding mud to Christianity and to what it means to really follow Jesus. Maybe you have met some Christians, come on, and now I think we can relate, yeah. And they were the most judgmental and unloving people you have ever met that has muddied the water. Can you relate? That Christians, like the guys who actually are the Jesus followers, are the people who are actually the most unloving, so judgmental people around. And you're like, man, I don't want a part of that. It looks gross. There's this pastor, Pastor Gracegate. He shares this story of one occasion when he was going to another church and he was going to speak at this other church, and he was standing in the foyer chatting to the other pastor at the beginning of the program. And as they were busy chatting, this woman walked into church. And without a doubt, it was so clear, it was so obvious that she was broken, that she needed help, that there was something that she really and seriously needed in her life. You could just see it in her face, in what she was wearing, in how she looked. And as she walked into those church doors that day, the one pastor walked up to her and he said, "Hey, I'm sorry, but you can't come in dressed like that." I'm not making this stuff up. This stuff happens in what we call church is. And all that we're doing is we're making what faith actually is all about really complicated and really messy to understand who Jesus is all about. Maybe you've been in a church, or you've experienced a church that seriously was all about the money. That seriously you were blackmailed, you were, forced into a corner that, hey, if you are not seriously giving more money, you are actually a bad Christian. We just add more mud. Maybe you've been in some bad church experiences where because of what you ate or what you didn't eat, you were looked down on, you were judged, you were even separated, you were regarded as lower. I've experienced that, and what we do is we just add mud. Can you guys relate? If you can't relate, listen to this. Or maybe you read the paper this week about a pastor who has just left New Zealand this week to live in Australia, who at one point he said, and I quote today, "My view on homo marriage is that the Bible never mentions it. So I'm not against them getting married," the pastor told his congregation, "as long as a bullet goes through their head the moment they kiss, because that's what it talks about, not homo marriage, but homo death." this week in the newspaper? Do you see why Christianity is so complicated and messed up? Do you see why so many people have a distorted view of what faith really looks like? The pastor also added on that, hey, our new current prime minister belongs in the kitchen. I mean, what is church about? What is faith about? What does it mean when Jesus says, come follow me? Does it look something like this? As these guys who started to follow Jesus, as they continue to gather sort of momentum and share the good news, the gospel, the clear perspective of what faith is really about, this movement started to grow. At one stage, it just grew rapidly. Thousands of people just put their faith into Jesus. Straight away, they were like, hey, this is what we do. And this gathering started to grow and grow and grow. The church started to grow, and it was a community that was making a significant difference in the world. But at one stage, they find themselves again in muddy water. And honestly, if you look at the history of the church, the current place of the church, you'll see that there's a lot of muddy water. And however, something unexpected happened. And this is what happened. Gentiles started to believe, and they wanted to join the Jewish celebration. In other words, there were people who were unchurched people, all right? There were people who didn't know anything about God. They weren't part of the nation of Israel. And they were starting to join this movement. And as they started to join this movement, they wanted to be part of the celebration. But here's the catch. The majority of the Jewish Christians were not quite ready for this. Can we relate? That there was a time in the history of the church where people who weren't churchy were saying, hey, man, this movement is making a difference. This is something I want to be part of. But these Jewish Christians were like, whoa, hang on. If they want to be part of this movement, surely they're not like us. Surely there's a few things they got to change up. Surely they got to, start eating right, and surely they also got to dress right. So the only plausible solution then was to require the Gentiles, the non-believers, and those who now were becoming Christians to actually become Jewish. This is what seriously happened. And here's the catch. This wasn't that bad, okay? If they just had to adopt the teachings. However, for the men becoming Jewish, this would require what? Do you hear that? This would require some surgery, all right? Some circumcision. I'm not making this stuff up, okay? It's all in the Bible. You can read it. And basically what they were doing is they were saying, okay, just adding some more mud into what faith is really all about. And that's probably why all the guys stayed in the parking lot and just the women and the children came into the church. What have we done with this movement? So at this stage, all the apostles, all these followers of Jesus, they see what is happening. And as this momentum continues to grow, as people continue to put their faith in Jesus, as Gentiles continue to be part of this movement, they realize, hey, we're in a place where there's a lot of muddy water, and we need to change things up. We need to get together, and we need to sort this stuff out. What does it look like? What does a Christian really have to know or to do to be part of this community? So they get together, and at this council, one of the followers of Jesus, his name was James, he gets up and he says one of the most powerful things that seriously has rocked the church and still inspires the church today. And this is what he says. He says this. He says, "It is my judgment that we should not make it difficult for the Gentiles who are turning to God. James stands up and he says, in front of all the religious leaders, in front of all the people who are following this movement, they get together and they say, hey guys, it is my judgment that we should not make it hard. We should not make it difficult. We should not put so much mud in the water for the Gentiles, for the people who are non-believers, for the unchurched people, for the community who actually doesn't actually want to be part of the faith. He says we should not make it difficult for the Gentiles who are turning to God. Why do we make it so difficult? Why do we complicate what Christianity is all about? In this house, here at Gracegate, we have tried to do whatever we possibly can to literally get our hands into this muddy water and just take out all the mud. And just say, you know what, hey, we want to just take out all the unclarity. We just want to take out all the obstacles. We want to take out all the churchy stuff that makes people be like, what is that all about? And in this house, in this place, we are saying, hey, it is the Gentiles, it is the non-believers that actually community and church is for. The church was actually designed for unchurched people. And that's why we do whatever we possibly can to create an environment in this space where people who don't have faith can come in here and feel welcome, feel valued, feel as if, hey, this is a place where I can belong. This is a place where I've got questions about faith, but hey, I can be in a safe environment and I can continue to discover what Christianity and what faith is all about. Today I have the privilege of inviting Faith to join me on stage. And this is actually a person called Faith, so it's kind of weird, but hey. Faith, please come and join me. Can we give her a hand? Faith, I know you, to be honest, I was going to interview her last weekend, and I don't know if you were that nervous that you didn't join last weekend.
No, I'm sick.
No, she was sick. And
yeah.
some of you might know Faith. You've seen her on the video. She was actually the proper fisherman, right, in the first videos with Kenny. But Faith, how long have you been at Gracegate for?
I started with the Young Mums program, actually. So I think that was like the end of July. Yep.
Okay. All right. So from the end of July, you've been attending the Young Mums program?
Yeah.
Cool. And you've got a son, right?
I do.
Have you guys seen Faith's son? Yeah. What's his name?
His name is Michael.
Michael.
Or everyone here actually calls him Mike, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old is Mike?
13 months.
13 months,
Yes.
Okay, cool. And Faith, could you share a bit about the Young Parents Program? Maybe some people are sitting here in church today and they're like, what is the Young Parents Program? What is it all about? What do you guys get up to? All the secret stuff.
So I'll just give like a little rundown. So the course is 4 days a week, so every day except Thursday. And we basically just get coached on how to become, or how to be the best mum that we can be for our kids. So we do like a family toolbox, and we do mainly music and stay and play, and
Awesome.
it's fun, and it's really good to be around the girls who are also young, and we share our experiences, and we have a great teacher who's Carissa. It's
Awesome. Awesome, Faith. And you're enjoying it?
Yeah.
You're not just saying that because you're on stage today?
No.
Okay, it's okay. You can be honest here today. But Faith, we've been chatting a bit, and you've been attending this program almost, 4 days a week?
Yeah.
You've also been in this environment on a Saturday morning as well.
Yeah.
And we've been having a conversation sort of like, since you've been in this space, since you've been in this environment, you found something different.
Yeah.
Could you share a bit about that?
Yep. So like I've tried out different churches when I was younger, and I felt uncomfortable, or I just didn't like the way that I guess they ran things. But being here, I don't know, like when I first walked in here, it was so cool. It was really chilled. It was relaxed. It was really welcoming. I felt, nobody judged me, because I think that's the biggest thing when you're a Christian and you're a teen parent. That's the big thing for me, is when you walk into a church, everyone is like, whoa, like
Yeah.
you've done something bad. But no, when I walked in here, it was all like, hi, welcome, and everybody was really loving towards my son, and that was also a really big thing for me. So we feel quite safe and at home, and yeah.
I love that. And we're not making this stuff up, eh?
No,
Like
it's genuine.
This is what happens, and I have conversations with so many people that express that when they walk into Gracegate, they experience something different. They feel valued. They feel as if they belong here, that this is a family. And Faith, we've also been speaking about your faith.
Yes.
And your journey with faith. And one of the things I love chatting to you about is actually that through this community, you're finding that, hey, you can actually take one step at a time and try and discover more about God. How are you finding that?
Really good, because when I came in here, I had things that were, I had made choices that were in the way of me getting to, where I really want to be. But since I've been here, and since I've been talking to lots of different people, my path is a lot more clearer, and I know where I want to go. And I'm striving to get there, but I have support. And I think that's the biggest thing, is I have people here and at home, that I can talk to, who also keep me accountable, because I think that's a really big thing. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Faith, we value having you here. And honestly, I know you've been part of the young adults, the Spark environment as well, and you're valuing the time there. And can we just give Faith a hand for just sharing briefly a bit about that? Thank you so much. All right. If you haven't met some of our young teenage parents, they're the life of the party at Gracegate. And I'd encourage you to meet some of them, yeah. But Faith, thank you for sharing your story, because she also shared that she's also experienced some of this mud before in the context of faith and Christianity. And we want to create an environment, a space where we just, hey, we're chucking that mud away. We're giving a space for freedom, and a space where, hey, you can grow one step at a time. And we've got a community here of people who are actually going to hold you accountable, who are going to say, hey, it's not safe for you to be running down the road blindfolded, but we want to get you off the road. We want to take care of you. We want to encourage one another here and lift each other up. So today, to close off, I want us to understand, how can we find clarity in what faith is? How can we know for sure what it means to be a Jesus follower? And I want every one of us to leave this building today knowing that, hey, I know what it means to follow Jesus. When Jesus says, come follow me, I know what it means. And I want to ask these two questions. So the first one is this: what does a person need to know to become a Jesus follower? In other words, what does a person need to know? If you want to become a Christian, what do you need to know? All right? And the second question we want to answer is, what does a person have to do to become a Jesus follower? Okay? What does a person have to do to become a Jesus follower? We want to clear all the mud. We want to make sure that, hey, when we leave today, we can understand what this means. There's a story in the Bible where one of the religious guys, his name was Nicodemus, is actually in a space where he's like, hey, I'm not sure about faith. I've been following all these religious laws, and I'm not sure, like, the way Jesus is teaching is totally contradictory to what I'm believing. So he's trying to clear the mud, and he actually has a conversation with Jesus. And John records this conversation. And while they're having this conversation, he's asking these questions, these same questions. And Jesus responds with this answer. And it's something that many of us may have heard at some season in our life. What it actually means, what does a Jesus follower have to know, and what does a Jesus follower have to do? He sums it up. He makes it so easy for us to understand, and I want to share this with you today. It's this passage here. It says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life." I'm sure you might have read this verse before, right? I'm sure, like me, many times as a pastor, I read this verse and it's just one of those verses. It's just, yeah, this was recorded. But this was what Jesus was sharing with this guy. He's saying, hey, I want to clear all the mud for you. I want you to see what faith and what following Jesus is actually all about. What is the foundation of following Jesus? And he says it's this. It's for God so loved the world. So loved. I mean, if you think about this, this is actually insane. It's actually ridiculous to see that a God, all right, a God, no matter if you believe in God or if you don't, a God decides to love the world, and not just love, but so loved the world. I mean, the bad people, the stuff that isn't good, the sinners, the rapists, the murderers, the liars, the gossipers, all of that God decides to love the world. And then even to the point that he gave his one and only Son. I mean, if you don't understand what faith is, I want you to understand this, that God, all right, he loves the world, all the bad people. Even God had the foreknowledge, all right, with the foreknowledge to think about it. He could have thought, you know what? I'm just going to love the people who love me back. Wouldn't that be the logical thing to do? But he does something illogical here. He does something that is ridiculous. He does something that is, why? This is almost insane, to actually love people and almost know that, hey, that love may never ever be reciprocated. That love may never ever be returned. But you know what? I'm going to give. I'm going to give myself because I value humanity and I want them to experience the freedom and the purpose that I created them for. For God so loved the world that he gave. He gave. And this love is that agape love. It's a love that is unconditional. So if you want to know, hey, what does a Jesus follower need to know? Well, they need to know these two words here. That God loved and that God gave his Son. And then it goes on and it says that whoever believes, whoever, it's me, it's you, Wesley, it's the pastor here who spoke about, putting a bullet through the homos. It's whoever believes. I mean, doesn't that just seem so unfair? Doesn't that just seem ridiculous? Like, no, surely there actually have to be a set of to-dos. Like, surely we have to get in tune. Surely we have to stop doing to start believing. But yeah, God says no. He says whoever believes. And believes here is basically trust. It's trust. It's like, hey, whoever believes, whoever just, who just trusts. I mean, just a little bit. Just on the edge. Whoever just puts their weight on this love that was given freely. There were no prerequisites. You didn't have to do anything. This has been done already. This is the love. And he says, whoever believes, whoever trusts in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. But have. In other words, we gain this eternal life. We have it. It's something we possess. It's a free gift that's given to us. It's grace. It's something we don't deserve, but we just get it. And the beauty of this is that this eternal life starts as we receive and as we start to trust, as we start to lean in, as we start to take one step at a time to follow Jesus. So what do I have to do in order to be a Jesus follower? Well, basically all you have to do is believe. You need to trust. And we trust in a lot of things. Every single day we trust in things. Why not trust in something that is so much bigger than a thing? Why not trust in someone who has given everything so that we can receive life? And not just eternal life one day, but a life now that will help us to not perish. A life now that, as we continue to follow Jesus, will be full of wisdom and allow us to make wise choices in life. That will help us to not experience the hurt and the pain that we often just, walk into ourselves. If you leave this place today, I want you to remember these 4 words. If someone asks you, what is a Jesus follower all about? I want you to remember these 4 words. On the next slide, Ken. Loved, gave, believe, and have. That's it. It's the foundation of faith. That's why the Jesus movement built so much momentum. That's why the disciples literally turned the world upside down. That's why we gather here today, is because God loved, God gave his only son. We believe. That's what we've got to do. We believe, we trust, and then we receive, or we have. That's the message. Today, as a pastor and as someone who has experienced some muddy waters, as I've journeyed with faith, I can guarantee you that this is the beauty of the Christian faith. This is the beauty of being a Jesus follower. There have been times in my walk where, it's been tough. It's been like, life just doesn't make sense. But as I lean in, there's this God who gives me a peace that surpasses all understanding. There's a God who runs to my pain. There's a God who shows me what community is really about, who shows me that life is to love and to be loved. Today, I want to encourage you. I don't know where you're at. If you have faith in Jesus or if you don't have faith in Jesus. Maybe you've experienced some of this muddy water before, but today I want to just create a space as we're going to listen to a song to end off. And I want you to just think about, hey, where are you at? Where are you in your faith journey? And maybe today is that opportunity where you can just take one step forward into going to that destination of, hey, I want to journey, I want to follow Jesus. Because this is what it's all about. And we just chuck out all the muddy water.